Shalom, it's Ruben Abramov, and I wanted to speak about this Shabbat's Haftarah. So, to you, my congregational family of the Hamptons Synagogue, it is so important that we may not be able to meet physically in the sanctuary of the synagogue, the Hampton Synagogue. However, we are able to stick together and stay together as a group, learning Torah through these video connections. And I wanted to thank Rabbi Schneier, Rabbi Bronstein, Chazan Hershtik, Maestro Chaimov with the entire Hamptons choir, and the leadership of our president, Carol Levin. This is all so important that we endure through these challenging times. In the words of Giddy Greenstein, flexigidity. When are we rigid? We are rigid as a community. When are we flexible? We could meet in person, we could meet online. So continuing in the Hamptons tradition of my introducing, and in the capacity of Haftorahman, introducing the Haftarah, I'd like to spend a few minutes on this week's Haftarah from Parashat Shemini. The Torah reading is called, the section called Shemini. It means the eighth day. However, why are we reading this Haftarah is because in the Parsha, in the Torah reading, in the biblical portion, we read about the dedication of the Mishkan, the sanctuary where God resided in this tabernacle, which was a temporary dwelling place from the time of the Exodus all the way until the time of this Haftarah, which is about 950 years later. Then, who is this Haftarah about? Who's the main character? Is none other than the great David HaMelech, King David. And where does it happen? It happens just outside of Jerusalem, and we are led up until Har Zion, the Mount of Zion, with David HaMelech bringing the Ark of the Covenant to the Beit HaMikdash, where the house of God was to be built in the future. The story takes place roughly 3,000 years ago, and it is quite an exciting story because we actually have this go-cam, so to speak, on David HaMelech's shoulder as he's marching the wagon that has the Ark of the Covenant on it. And an incident happened where the Ark was about to tip off of the cart, and this man who reached for it showed lack of faith to God, and he passed away. David freaks out. He says, listen, everybody sit still, don't do anything. And he waited it out for 90 days. And then he resumed, bringing the Ark of the Covenant. Slowly, he took a few steps. It was safe. He offered a sacrifice, an animal sacrifice, and he proceeded. It says, and this is so beautiful because it ties into Tehillim, is that he did it singing, dancing, and playing on the nevel and the kinnor, the harp and the lyre, and drums, and different kinds of musical instruments. It was a great celebration that they were bringing the Ark of the Covenant up to the city of Jerusalem. And here they're establishing for the nation of Israel the permanent place, the contact point between God, the land of Israel, and the nation of Israel. And the story digresses into Michal, King David's wife, who was Shaul's daughter, Saul, the first king of Israel's daughter, and she didn't exactly approve of his behavior, and she castigated him. And King David said, "What are you talking about? I'm celebrating. I'm enjoying myself." The Haftarah concludes with the news being broken to King David that yes, you got to bring up the Ark of the Covenant to the city of Jerusalem with great fanfare, joy, singing, exciting the whole nation. However, you will not be the one building the Beit HaMikdash. Sorry. And the good news is your son, the wisest man that ever lived, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, will be the one building the temple, and the Davidic dynasty will be established eternally. Talking about establishing, this Haftarah establishes David HaMelech as the king over Israel. The seat of the Davidic dynasty stems from him. The city of Jerusalem is Israel's capital. The temple was to be built there, and worshiping God was to be built there. This is the establishment of what we now have to do, is just maintain this reputation of God's people in their homeland, Israel, in their city of Jerusalem. So, Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy the Haftarah.